All right, so JT Sinclair, you're closest in proximity to me where I live here in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. So give us the Reader's Digest version of who you are, your background, how long you've been in the business, sales units, size of your team, all that stuff.
Cool. So I run the broker Sinclair team at Keller Williams Realty here in Coeur d'Alene. We have a mainly sphere-based business, and we like to work with a lot of investors. We've been in the business 20 years, and that's probably enough about me.
All right, so I have the notes, so we'll go further. All right, Cindy Carrigan, then next closest in proximity. You're in Spokane, Washington. Tell us about you.
Well, thanks for having me. I have Five Star Real Estate Network in Spokane, which is Eastern Washington. And last year we served over 300 families around the area, which made us, thankfully the #1 team at Keller Williams in Spokane last year. So that was exciting in 2020. And we do focus on sphere business, client appreciation events, giving back to our community and all of those that we love. So that's how we do business.
I love it. I love it. All right. And Jason, last but certainly not least, Jason, tell us about your business and where you're located.
I'll give you numbers only to add credibility to who I'm actually not, by the way. I hate numbers. Can I say that? Like, I get these panels and numbers like, I have this number and I do that number. I'm nothing against Cindy or JT. It's all good. But I hear numbers and I go, man, all right. The agent doing 24 deals is doing pretty well too. So anyway, I'll give you numbers for credibility purposes only. 175 units, run a team in Washington, D.C., service Northern Virginia and Maryland as well. Is that good?
I think it's great. It's great. Now, here's what we know. All of you, 21 years in the business for JT, 20 years for Cindy, 18 years for Jason. None of you are new to the business. So you've experienced markets like we're in now. And that's where I wanted to start, because I know a lot of people in this group, a lot of people watching this interview, man, they're experiencing a different market than they've had last year or years previous to that. So the market has changed. How are you all in your teams, and you guys can go in whatever order you choose, how are you adjusting to the change? Because we know inventory is the buzzword. It's the #1 challenge for teams today. What are you doing to help your team find that inventory to keep the engine moving?
Nobody
I'm going to call. I'm going to call out JT because he was. Oh, sorry, Jason. JT, you were just telling us all these listings are showing up. Spring's early for you, man. So like now you're on. I'm just calling you out. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I'd say it's a sphere-based business. So we're heavily sphere-based. We do call our people twice a year, stay in touch with them throughout the year. That's pretty boring. So I guess I was waiting on someone else to say what they do that might be unique, but we, like Cindy, have a lot of client appreciation events. During the pandemic, whenever everyone said to make your care calls, we actually did that. We made our care calls and we called our business owners, made sure they know about the PPP and all those things in the past. So I think the success that we're starting to see right now is due to what we did then, which is kind of what they said. Who you're talking to then is who you're going to be working with now. And we're seeing that to ring true. And then just trying to take those sign calls really seriously. Changed our model to where all of our buyer's agents can list homes because inventory was so tight. So we have a guy who's taken 2 listings who used to just be a buyer's agent. And those were from phone calls within the database on realtor.com that he's just converting. So ours is a lot of conversations.
All right, so I want to push back really quick on something you said, JT. You said boring. You said that it's pretty boring the way you do business. Now, I know everybody in here has a healthy amount of sphere-based business, all 3 of you. I want to touch on something, and I see that Mr. Kevin has joined us. Welcome to the show, Kevin. But here's what I know. Sphere isn't boring. Sphere, there's people that would kill to have all of your sphere influences right now. And what they're finding out is if they didn't start it 2, 3, 4 years ago, how steep of an uphill climb that is and how long it takes to get that flywheel turning. Cindy, has that been your experience? And what are you guys doing in your business to battle this inventory shortage?
Yeah, well, the same thing, just getting deep with our sphere, going back to everybody and asking if they're interested in finding out what their home's value is, because a lot of them have no idea what they could be doing right now. and kind of walking them through the solutions that we have for how you can avoid being homeless, which is always a big, like, we don't want to sell our house till we know we have somewhere to move to. So really letting them know that we have strategies to help them with that. And then we're back to door knocking because we can now, finally back in Washington, and calling into neighborhoods, just anything we can to find that inventory that's not on the market yet. And, we're fortunate that we do have a pretty large listing business, and list, typically 150 homes a year. So a lot of times what we're bringing in is, we're making sure our agents are aware of what's coming on. How do we get people in there before it hits the market with a well above list price offer, so that the seller is getting what they would have gotten on the open market. But, just how do we match people up before they have to compete is what we've been really focused on. So, yeah.
I love that. I love that. And I've heard from countless people, I've experienced it personally, and I know all three of you do an excellent job of this. It's not just about the number in the offer your buyer's agents are making. Relationships right now with other agents matter more than they have in a long time. This is my 15th year doing this, and I haven't ever seen a market where that matters more. All right, Jason, what about you in an inventory tight environment? How are you positioning yourself and your team?
It's the same conversation, sphere. So we've doubled down on doubling the size of our sphere. So we're not getting caught up in the listings that we can't create more listings automatically, right? That's not our mindset, but our clients will come to us and be ready to list and buy, of course. But what we did do is figure out a way to double the size of our sphere. And we did that by hosting virtual trivia for a period of time. My business partner, John Coleman, came up with that. And we'd have 200-300 teams on virtual trivia on Tuesday nights, and we would just be collecting data. So while things are compacting and getting tighter, what's happening for us is our database is expanding and growing. The super fun part about that is we raised like $43,000 for local businesses by doing trivia. And at the same time, we just happened to double our database. It wasn't done just to double the database. It was done for the community, but that's how we've approached it. So as you guys talk about sphere, the only thing I talk about and the only thing we think about is doubling the size of our sphere. And that's the key to success for us.
I love that. I love that. And I talked to Kevin and Fred about this recently, that in working Zillow leads in the past and working online leads, like right now, like your phone goes off and it's like, oh, great, another buyer lead. Like there's nothing to sell them anyway, so I'm not going to get excited about another buyer lead. The beauty of you guys having a sphere-based business is these people are coming to you saying, here you go, list our home. Hey, we trust you to buy a home. Like you're not competing against 13 other agents in the open market with somebody looking to buy something below the median price in your area that doesn't exist, right? So kudos to all of you. I think it's super smart. If agents watching this aren't working on building their sphere and they don't have a system in place, man, there's not much else I'd be telling you to focus on right now. So kudos to you guys. Now, that being said, you guys, if you know me, you know I'm a systems person. So really, really briefly, before we go on to the next one, if somebody out there is wondering what system do you use? Do you guys use a predefined system, or what does that look like? How do you manage consistency in your database and your sphere? Because that's the key.
Follow Up Boss, baby. I love it. I'm a major Follow Up Boss fanboy. It's super easy to stay in touch with the people. We love taking notes in there, and that works really well for us. I've tried other systems and that works for me. Having said that, the old mantra, whatever works for you is what you should use. But yeah, anyway, that's my 2 cents.
I'm afraid people are going to get really bored with this conversation because everybody's got the same answers. Follow Up Boss, Sphere. Cindy, do you use Follow Up Boss? That's who we love.
I used to. We started out with Follow Up Boss. We moved over to Boomtown. It just has a little bit more functionality for the size of our team, but some of our agents would prefer to still be using Follow Up Boss, I'm sure. And so we just send out a monthly newsletter with, updates on the market to anybody who's bought or sold homes with us. We have a Facebook group for them, our MVP group, that we do giveaways and fun little things in there and market updates. So the newsletters get quite a bit of, you can see who's clicking on it, so they like to know what's happening in the market. And, we just talk about what's happening on the team or what's happening in the what are our new listings or who just went under contract. So, and then just talk about whatever classes or events that we're holding. So that's our main way of keeping in touch with them.
I love that. And I don't think it's boring at all. Go ahead.
Hey, Ben, if I could add real quick, I mean, the systems are great, right? And all that, but if I could add one system that's helped Kevin and I, and it doesn't replace the phone like these guys are saying, but we started using HomeBot probably 1.5 years, 2 years ago. And that's been the most opened email, the email that's actually gotten the most value from homeowners that are in our database. So I'll just mention that as a little ad. Like, you can partner with a lender on it. I think it's like $25 a month to have up to 500 or so contacts in your database. If you don't know what HomeBot is, I don't want to teach on that right here, but I just want to give that away as a little. That's been one of the greatest things we've added to bring value to our sphere and the homeowners in our sphere over the last couple of years, is that HomeBot tool.
Thanks for bringing that up, Fred. I was on the phone with HomeBot today, actually, and we are using it inside of our sphere. And I'm currently trying to figure out a way to plant HomeBot into our farm as well. So I'm trying to figure that component out. So if anybody knows that, I'd love to know.
Awesome. Yeah, we can connect on that. Our lender has sent out like a lot of postcards using HomeBot. There's an easy way for them to download your link. So there's some stuff you can do there with HomeBot. A lot of us use it for our sphere, but you can actually use it for more of a prospecting base, like you're saying, Jason, farm type of place. I think it's also probably the most underutilized place our team is a little weak on is open houses. I'd like to see us, when we go hold open houses and door knock, 20 or so houses around the neighborhood, I'd like to see us like offer something of value besides like, hey, there's an open house, you want to come see it. And I think that HomeBot, we like to use the language like a financial digest for your home or a financial statement for your home. Just like you would get a 401k or an IRA statement once a month or once a quarter. Like, hey, would you like a wealth statement or a financial statement on your home once a month or once a quarter? So anyway, didn't mean to go off on a HomeBot tangent. I just feel like that was like one of those bonuses for people out there listening. We're always looking for these little unique tools, and I keep finding more and more top agents. So not surprised that some of you guys are using that.
I think it's awesome. And you were watching, I don't know if you were watching, Fred, but some of these people were taking notes when you were talking about it. So like we all are learning through this process. What I wanted to make sure I touch on, though, is that nothing about this is boring, because as we've heard multiple times, success leaves clues, and all three of these people are focusing on spheres. So one little question I have personally, because I know Kevin and I have masterminded on this for a number of months now, like maybe 6-7 months. We're big proponents of snail mail, right? Of sending stuff to people's mailboxes, because it used to be a noisy place. Online showed up, everybody shifted, and now the mailbox is a very quiet place. It's very easy to stand out. Are any of the three of you doing any kind of a mail campaign?
We do once a quarter to our sphere, and HUD letters to anyone who bought in the past year. They'll get a custom letter with their settlement statement.
Yeah, we jumped back in. I pulled out of a print farm because of the level of competition between investors and other agents and you name it, potential buyers. You're one of 10 pieces of mail getting received for somebody trying to buy your home. So we pulled out of that, but just went back in. And so I'll let you know what we think, if now's the time on our end to go back into it.
Same, we just went back in as well. So pulling out all the
Interesting.
stops.
We did not talk about this ahead of time, but you just see how the answers are all the same, all the way across the board. This is amazing. Amazing. All right. Next question. Now, here's what we know. We know a lot of people watching this right now have a team of various size, but we also know there's a lot of single agents in this group watching this. And so I want to take a minute to kind of shift, because I think a lot of times these focus just on one segment of the business, being team. Let's talk to that single agent. So three of you, as you're thinking back, if you were speaking to that agent that got licensed, you were fresh out of real estate school, this was your first week in the business. Very easy. What would you say to that person, to yourself back then? What would you do differently? What would you start sooner? And what would you avoid doing altogether?
There's a lot of questions in that. So I'm trying to figure out which one I want to attack first. I would say to any agent listening or watching at the moment, understanding the value of one relationship is just crazy. We did some numbers the other day on one, and we've got a client that's coming for their probably 10th deal, 10th transaction with us. So that's one every 2 years. And you start to do the math on that, and you're like, the value of that one relationship is crazy to think about. So if you can multiply the relationships across a decade or 10 or 20 years, it's unbelievable. So pay attention to the relationships. I'm sure everybody will agree with that. And then understand that it is, don't not play the long game. You have to play the long game, in my opinion. You can certainly play short. I think you can play short, quick internet leads. You can play those now. I'm not good at those, by the way, but I know people play it. But I think you can play the short game and the long game simultaneously, and the short game builds up the long game, and just be very strategic about it. That's what I would say.
Man, I wish you could have told me that when I got into the business 15 years ago.
Yeah, me too.
All right, John Thomas and Cindy, what are your thoughts on that? What would you tell yourself if you were a newer agent in this market today?
Cindy, go ahead.
Oh, well, I think definitely coming from contribution is so important, because we've got, I mean, I don't know about your guys' markets, but here we have double the number of agents that we did 10 years ago. And, you know, so everybody knows 10 agents, or at least 5, right? So how do you bring value to people's lives that isn't just, hey, do you want to buy or sell a home? Or do you know someone who wants to buy or sell a home? That was just never my style. I just didn't want to be like, okay, let's, you know, I'd much rather call them with something else that we're, you know, would you like to go to lunch? Would you like to come to this event? Would you like to, can I bring you a pie for Thanksgiving? So I think all of those things have helped us, especially to stand out from the other realtors in our market. Now a lot of them are, you know, following suit, which I'm glad. I think we should all be coming from contribution and bringing value to people, as opposed to just waiting for them to call and say, I want to buy a house from you, or I want to list my house. So I think if I would have started doing that sooner, you know, that would have been even more beneficial. I'm thankful that I did start doing it when I did, but anybody that can start doing that right now is, you know, much further ahead than the competition, I would say. And as far as what you don't want to do is just don't go spend money on everything that is out there. Do some research first, talk to other agents who might be using those things before you invest thousands of dollars into the next shiny object. I don't even know how much money I've wasted over the years on all of those things. If I would have just done a little more research instead of getting excited about something without actually knowing if it works. So.
Well, those are really good points. JT, before I come to you, I want to ask you one clarifying question there. So, and I agree with everything you just said. You said the coming from contribution. For somebody watching, I mean, that's a big statement, and I know you know what that means, and I think we have an idea. But what would be a practical way somebody watching could actually today start showing some items of value or coming from contribution in their business if they aren't?
So, you know, one of the really easy ways is just to go, okay, where are we at in the year right now? What's everybody looking at? You know, if you're around Thanksgiving, the pies are very easy. A lot of people are doing that. Right now, there's a lot of people love Girl Scout cookies. I mean, I would just, you know, you're supporting the Girl Scouts, and you can take and go deliver, you know, to all your past clients or whoever has referred to you. Just, you know, give people something that reminds them, you know, of you. And then that creates, you know, so much more positivity in your business than just calling and saying, who do you know that wants to sell their house because we have all these buyers, yada, yada. They hear that a million times. So what can you do that's different, that brings value? Or just a lunch, you know, now, especially if people are comfortable going out. A lot of what I've found is so many people are just hungry for, you know, human interaction. And anytime that I've invited someone to go have a glass of wine or lunch, they're so excited because they just miss people. So that's a really great thing to do right now in this environment that we're in.
I love that. I love that. And another one that I've seen a lot of people using recently, really good results, is like a vendor list. And I'm sure you guys do this as well, but trying to find a contractor to do anything right now is very challenging because everyone's busy. And so having those people in your world, back end of your website, where they can go and they'll drop other people to help your clients. We're getting a lot of traction with that too. John Thomas, what about you? What are your thoughts on this?
I'm going to go along with what Cindy said. I would say meet people and keep up with people. While y'all were talking, I looked back at my database, and a person I put under contract today was added to my database 8 years ago. I've been doing CMAs for her for 4 years, and she's a good friend, and she's referred me a lot of people, but this is the first sale that I'm going to get from her. and we brought the buyer. So that's super exciting that we were able to convert a sign call to a buyer, all from a relationship in Toastmasters 8 years ago. So I moved to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho without knowing anyone 15 years ago, and quickly got involved with all kinds of things that I no longer do because I didn't enjoy those things. But I needed to meet people and be in relationship with people. So I joined Toastmasters and Chamber and all the things you already know. But I think we look for a magic pill and think that there's something easy, and there's not. Well, that I know of. I think you need to get in contact with a lot of people and stay in touch with them. And I'll give you a tip on what I do to add value that comes very naturally to me, and it's free. I love to text. I do not like the phone. I'm a serial texter, and I text random people all the time. And I just thought that was me. But as I think about some of the magic sauce of our business, I think there's something to that. I look at the hot sheet and I see that Ben just sold his house for whatever, or not Ben just sold his house, but Ben's neighbor just listed, and Ben's not in the real estate business. Say, I would send him a link. Say your neighbor just listed for 425. Wow, your neighborhood's really doing something. It doesn't matter, just something. That's a super easy touch. Obviously, they remember you're in real estate. You're sending them a real estate link. You're giving them some value that people find interesting. I do that to my investors. There's a fourplex that just went pending for a ridiculous amount of money. I send it to all my investors. Holy cow, the Coeur d'Alene market is ridiculous. Can you believe this? And I got a CMA out of one of those. And it truly was interesting, and that's easy for me to do that. So for me, that works. I would encourage you to find some way to stay in touch with those people often, and then have that information categorized in a system somewhere. And you keep staying in touch with those people, and you're going to see it grow and explode to then when you sell those people that house, you're going to get a referral. So
I love that. Love that. All right. Next question. We're going to keep it moving. Jason, you've been in this business a long time, 18 years. What's the biggest mistake you've made so far in the business?
You just want one? I've only made a few in my career.
Your favorite one. How about that?
Yeah, the biggest mistake I made is truthfully not being strategic enough about what I wanted to create in my own organization. And it's always been inside, like who I am and what I want to convey to the people that I work with. I just wasn't thoughtful enough and strategic enough about that in the direction I wanted to go. So my own clarity was my biggest mistake. But then again, we're all on our own journey to hit it. But once I was crystal clear about who I am and what I do, which has always been there, the world opened up. And so if I could call that a mistake, just getting clear in my own personal development it took too long. Now that I look back on it, people say, well, it took as long as it should have, maybe. But my biggest mistake was not being clear enough early enough in the career.
Mine was easy. I should have started a real estate team about 6 years earlier. I went the whole recession boom with lots of listings, way too busy, no admin. Buyers would call and I would say, that one's sold. I did not want buyers, had no idea what a buyer's agent was. So I lost a lot of money during the recession by not building sooner. If you're too busy to handle buyers, you need to be figuring out how to run a team.
Okay, Cindy, what about you?
That is a good one, JT. That I look back at those years too and go, oh my gosh, there were so many lost opportunities by not starting sooner. And I would say also, the bad hires would probably be the biggest mistake. The somebody that you trusted that you shouldn't have trusted, because of, all the ignorant reasons that we do when we hire someone, and you learn and you just do have to sometimes learn as you fail forward. So, there was somebody that I brought into business and trusted too soon who cost me, millions of dollars and lost income and all of those things. So, and I guess, that is part of just learning as you go, and maybe just, again, taking more time before you really trust someone in your business.
Well, you guys just provided the perfect segue, because the next place I wanted to go is the messiest part of our business, and that's the people, right? So you're all talking about leverage, and one of the types of leverage is people, and a couple of you at least said that I would have added people sooner. There's a whole list of mastermind sessions we could do around this if you've been in business with other people and had other people report to you. But for our purposes today, what I wanted to get at and ask you and kind of hear your thoughts on, in this market, it's a challenging market. You guys have teams of various sizes, 17, 20. John Thomas, you have a small handful, right? You guys are all doing big business with different levels of people. How do you keep those people motivated, engaged, and moving forward in what we know to be a challenging real estate market? What does that look like as your leadership is growing and your team is growing? What do you do on a daily basis, and how do you keep those people moving forward and focused on the right things?
I can start with that because people is definitely my favorite topic in the industry, and we take an approach within our organization that it's a people first approach, and what that means is what we're providing to those that are closest to us in our organization. Literally just this week we hired a director of personal growth. So when we talk about people, we talk about pouring into them and who they are. The business, we're going to figure that out. You and I, all of us could talk about business strategies in 20 to 30 minutes and figure out how we all get business. But at the end of the day, people, through their own personal growth journey, if they choose to follow it, the professional growth comes right behind it. So we are constantly massaging that. Personal growth is something that we talk about all the time. So if they're down, it's usually they're down in their life too. They're not just down in their business. If things are going well, lots of time their life seems to be going well. So we've internalized that. We take that to heart. And at our core, we genuinely care about who they are. And so our entire curriculum, if you will call it, is around the personal development. And what we've learned is, sure enough, the business development is right there beside it.
Absolutely. Hand in hand. All right, John Thomas, Cindy, what about you?
It's a great point, Jason. And I think sometimes we take that for granted because we are so, in our industry, we tend to be focused on personal growth. So it seems like, well, of course we are, but emphasizing that and making sure that we're communicating how important that is, I think is a really big value to our team, but to others as well. We've been able to impact other people's lives just by introducing a book that we've studied as a team, and then somebody outside the industry is able to take that and have personal growth, that they never would have had if we hadn't shared that with them. So in terms of keeping the team going, though, I think we have a basics of a morning huddle on Zoom where we all get together and share what we did yesterday, our commitment for today, and what we have a short training every morning where it's just some little tidbit that can help with multiple offer situations or whatever they're dealing with right now. And then we have quarterly contests that our team really loves. We're a very competitive group. So we keep track in Slack of everybody's numbers, and they get points for, listings, for contracts, and for reviews. And it gets everybody very involved. Obviously, it helps everybody when we're getting team reviews in. And then they love competing with each other on that. So that's been really a great thing. And then at the end of each quarter, they get to decide what we're doing. And so we just actually got back from a weekend out at a resort playing in the snow. So all together with spouses, and it was really fun, and they really bond and have a great time and, relax and get to play a little bit, and then we all come back to work. So I would say that's been a really fun addition over the course of the last year.
I love that. You're creating community is what I'm hearing you say. You're creating something bigger than just them as an individual, which is huge. That's what sets you apart. All right, John Thomas, what about you?
Let me start by saying I'm looking to hire an EA that would be amazing enough to do everything Cindy just said and help run all the parties that we do and do all the things. So I'm in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, where it's beautiful, and I need an EA. So if anyone knows anyone moving this way, I need a rock star. So segue. What do? I'm still the team leader. So I coach my agents one-on-one once a week. We have 30-minute sessions. I keep notes. So next week I can follow up on and say, how did it go? You were going to do such and such. We can brainstorm. We can talk about their A buyers. We can vet that those A buyers really are A buyers and keep them focused on who truly are A buyers in this market that we're in. Then our weekly team meetings were very collaborative. So the listing side will talk about, holy cow, I saw this concept come up on an offer and it was great and the seller took it. And the buyer team come on with that. Next thing you know, they're doing appraisal guarantees or whatever the new concept is. The buyers can talk about how we're vetting to make sure that we really do have A buyers that we're working with, and the conversations we're having with those buyers to move them from B to A buyers, and being very, very realistic, because our market is so tight right now that we don't want to get to a winning house and have a buyer that's not educated. If we can skip missing that house, that's our goal. So we take a collaborative approach to that, and we try to all learn from each other, all knowing none of us have been in a market like this, and we are all open to ideas.
I love that. I love that. Good mentality to have from the top. All right, now Kevin is showing me the sign, but I'm not done with lightning round yet. So I've got a few questions. We're going to go real quick. I just want 1 or 2 word answers from you all. So Kevin, put your sign down. All right, here we go. First question, we're going to start with John Thomas, then we'll go Jason and Cindy, because that's the order you're on my screen. All right. So what are you reading right now, John Thomas?
Think and Grow Rich.
Jason?
Win the Day by Mark Batterson.
Great one. All right, Cindy.
Atomic Habits.
Okay, awesome. All right, John Thomas, back to you. Here's another one. How do you define success in 1 sentence or less?
Happiness and fulfillment.
Okay.
Success is defined by the people who you can positively impact while you're here.
Yes, I was just going to say, making a positive impact on the people around you and in your community.
Love that. All right, last one. What's something that you do daily that has led to where you are today as far as your success goes? John Thomas.
Showing up and randomly texting clients. I've already said it, sorry.
Showing up though, that works. That works. All right, Jason, what about you?
I'm just getting to the good spot in life where I've accepted consistency, and I've become consistent in the last 12 months, and it's a game changer.
Love that. Love that. Showing up, being consistent. Cindy.
I would say adding a morning routine, a purposeful morning routine has been a real game changer for me. Getting up at 5 o'clock, working out, reading, doing all those things before, so you win the day before you even get to the office. That's been a big one for me.
I love that. I love that. All right, Kevin, Fred, parting thoughts. What questions do you have? What are we missing?
I just would like for us all to take a note from JT on the constant lead generation for talent. If nothing else, we should all be taking that away. Didn't matter the opportunity. He was like, I'm going for it now. So I just want to say, literally, hats off to you, JT. That was
awesome. That's awesome.
I love it. I'd love to add one more lightning round question if I could, Ben, which is, I'm just curious, Absolutely. And you don't all have to answer, but anything you've done in the last year since COVID showed up, anything personal or professional, just something different you added into your routine, something you focused on that was out of the norm, something you created that, in the last year that you weren't focused on prior. I'm just kind of curious. It's a unique season, right, that we're kind of all in. So curious if any of you guys have done anything out of the ordinary, so to speak.
I'll start. I don't know if you want me to go in order or not, but I'll start. I wrote a book, and it's coming out in about 2 weeks, and it'll be This Is Your Captain Speaking is the title, and it's a legacy for my family. So I took the time to revisit my journal and put it together in a few words, and it'll be coming out in a few weeks.
That's awesome.
That's awesome, man. Love it. This Is Your Captain Speaking. So we can all go grab that on Amazon, or where can we get that?
Not yet. So give it about 2 weeks, and it's coming, and then it'll be there. And you won't see it yet, but it's coming in hot.
Love it.
All right, Cindy, John Thomas, what about you?
I would say we added in, we moved our client appreciation events to drive-by events, and so we've been doing a lot of reaching out to them. We did Apple Pie at 4th of July, and like, then over Thanksgiving, we had to deliver pies because we couldn't even do the drive-by thing at that point. But just, kind of pivoted our things to keep in touch with our people so that, most of them have been extremely, isolated. And so anything we've been able to do to just keep connected to them during this has been really very appreciated by all of them.
I'm in North Idaho. We opened up pretty quick. I really can't think of anything that's quite different. We were able to have all of our events and life's been pretty normal.
Love it. Awesome.
All right.
Well, this has been great, Ben. Thank you so much for facilitating. I definitely took away a couple ahas here. And, I think boring was said more than once on this call. But what I love is that it's the consistency. It's the doing of the things. It's the showing up, right? It's the being willing to reinvent here or there. But it's all based around some of the same success principles we know work. And I hope that people walked away with that theme today. I definitely heard it loud and clear.
Couldn't agree more, man. All right, so you guys know Kevin and Fred. I'm Ben Fairfield, John Thomas, Jason, and Cindy. Thank you for being on with us today. Guys, if you're watching this in the group, make sure to connect with these three on social media. They're incredible agents. They have incredible businesses. They'll take great care of your referrals. I bet that was for you guys. And we'll see you guys in a couple weeks for our next agent panel interview. Thanks all.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, so the live stream is stopped.
All right.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. You guys did awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All
Yeah,
right.
you guys were great.
Bye.
It was awesome.
Have a good day.
You too. So long.